in the Lawson-Humphreys hit on Callum Archie. This is something that the AFL and the MRO did not even take a look at from what I know. The problem is, none of that was related to what Rhyan Mansell did.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
We've got your favourite.
From one segment to another. Behm Tribunal task.
Oh, I was so disappointed that last week we didn't get much, but this week I already knew from the minute I watched the Saints-Richmond game at the very least, there's going to be something this week.
I love that the AFL and the MRO are completely useless because it is now a content machine for us. I'm going to make him spill his drink.
Please, this is so good. I don't need to lose it.
So last week was very quiet, which is not going to happen every week, but, you know, we're straight back into the thick of it. Straight back into it, and it is awesome. The AFL have gone from not giving a single suspension to anyone for pushing someone into a contest to now giving a 3-week suspension in probably one of the most dubious ones we saw all in the month and a half that we've had so far.
If anyone has been paying attention to Behm's Tribunal task, you'll know that you have been on them to make something happen about this. Otherwise, someone's going to get really hurt.
Yep.
And of course, it happened to your team's player. Of course. And they finally went around and actually kind of put some action in to something like this.
And it's the wrong action too.
It's a bit late as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I have a special connection to Liam O'Connell, which I will not delve into, but I do. It's private reasons.
Bro doesn't know you.
Actually, he might, but, you know,
Let's
we
not
can
act
move
like
that
he
past.
knows you. Come on, bro.
Okay, anyway. The first one that I want to talk about is the Mark Keane tripping offence. Obviously, the big one is the Rhyan Mansell one. But Mark Keane, this is his 5th offence of tripping someone. How is he still getting fined? 5 offences, and he's getting fined from 10K down to 6.25.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He went down?
Okay, so
Is it just due to
they get the
severity?
plea. No, so they get the plea. You get like the 10K regular.
Oh, okay.
And then
I
it
thought
comes
his
down
fourth
as
one.
part of
I
it.
thought you were saying his 4th fine was 10K,
No,
and his
no,
5th went down for some reason.
His 5th fine is 10K, and then they bring it down to the 6.25 for whatever reason. I don't get that, but you know. And if you do something 5 times and you're still not being punished for it, you should be sacked.
Well,
let alone.
The idea
I'm
is that
so
he
confused.
is being punished for it, but like, is he?
It's like
Easy.
It's like
If he does it again-
it's a 30th of his contract, right?
Yeah.
If that.
If he keeps doing it.
What do you mean if he keeps doing it? He does keep
I
doing
know,
it.
that's what I'm saying. If he keeps doing it,
I think they get
then
up to 10 offences.
he's clearly not. He's clearly not faced by the punishments.
Once you get past 3 offences, you should be suspended. They get up to 10 offences. So if he does this 5 more times, the AFL's not going to give a shit. They'll just be like, here's a 15K fine down to 10K. We don't care. Whatever. It's fine to us. I don't understand that. That's really confusing to me. You're basically just allowing your players to do this. We've had, is this the 6th time someone's pushed someone into a contest?
Yeah, probably.
It's okay. It's so confusing. But we'll move on to the Rhyan Mansell suspension. He got 3 weeks for it. It was graded pretty harshly, I thought. It is, let's see here, Rhyan Mansell, rough conduct, careless, which I think we can all agree it was. I don't like the careless versus intentional that they have, the argument for one of each. It is pretty stupid because when you push someone into a contest, is it really careless or is it intentional? Because you are pretty much intentionally pushing them into a contest.
Yeah.
So the defining of that is pretty stupid. They've graded it as severe impact. So obviously, because he got concussed, it was a pretty heavy collision.
I was going to say that's more outcome related, isn't it?
Correct, which the AFL love to do. They love to base it off the outcome. And then they've gone high contact, which it is. The problem is, none of that was related to what Rhyan Mansell did. So they're grading basically off of Rhyan Mansell causing what Tom Lynch did to Liam O'Connell. I like the fact that it's a suspension. I've been on record saying that. I don't like the fact that it's a 3-week suspension. I think that's too much. I think the fact that it's you can't really grade for 2 weeks anymore is a problem because this to me seems like a 2-week suspension.
Yeah.
And I'll go into why. He pushed Liam O'Connell and then Liam O'Connell was able to take 3 more steps afterwards into the contest, right? So it is not a football action from what Rhyan Mansell did, but it's not like Liam O'Connell took 1 step and then he got whacked. He still had the chance, theoretically, to be able to pull out. He probably couldn't have because it was so quick and, you know, players coming at him as well. But theoretically, there was a chance he could have, which is why I don't understand how it's a 3-week suspension. The problem is he still did a non-football act which caused a concussion. That is where the three-match suspension comes from, because they have talked a lot about the action over the result, and that is a problem. I have always been, it should be about the action, not the result. Because if you look at it, the Jimby one, you cause the action, not the result of him breaking his jaw. Well, actually, that one they didn't do either. But you remove the action and you give Jimby 2 weeks, you don't get 6 more within 6 months. 6 weeks. That is the problem. We've had one almost every single week since that. The Mitch Owens one, he doesn't hurt his shoulder. The Brandon Starcevich one, well, that one's a bit more contested because it was probably more so in a contest and a football act. You can still probably argue for 1 week because Starcevich did get knocked out. I just don't understand how they can argue that this is 3 weeks. I think he probably gets off. I think there is every chance he gets off because they can show that he took 2 or 3 extra steps, made it into the contest on his own feet, and then Lynch was the one who then obviously knocked him out.
Yep.
So I think that the AFL are just making it so much harder for themselves in this situation, in every sense of the way.
Yeah. So in the sense of, right, you said that a 2-week suspension would be better.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be... So, because from what it sounds like, there's not even a possibility that they can go 2 weeks, right? They always go 1 or 3.
Yep.
Why would a 2 work out? What, is just less of a chance that it gets beaten in a challenge or...
So for me, the way I say 3 weeks is 3 weeks is the absolute maximum of someone pushing someone into the back. Where can't remember the Jimby one, but if you push someone directly into the contest and they are not able to make their way out of it and they get a severe enough impact where it is a concussion or it is a broken shoulder, whatever, that is then a 3-week suspension. In this instance, there was some time allocated for O'Connell to potentially be able to get out of it, and it wasn't necessarily a direct impact of him running into the player. It was a fallen arm that collected O'Connell. A 1 week would be something completely different towards that. I haven't really thought about 1 week. I've also thought about the 2 and 3 weeks. I just don't understand how they can argue this is 3 weeks when there was time. And this is coming from a Saints fan. There was time for him to theoretically move out of the way.
This should have been stamped out in pre-season.
Yep.
There was so many chances to... The Ruben Gimby one specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That was given nothing.
Nothing.
That was not even given... I mean, it was given a look, but maybe not by the MRO and the Tribunal. It was given a look by us. We gave it a look.
It was given a review by the MRO. He gave it nothing, so it can't go to the Tribunal.
Okay. I think what this is a failure from the MRO's perspective, because now it's clearly become a problem.
Yep.
It's clearly become a problem, and the fact that it was let go so early, the hesitancy, right? Mm-hmm. And it feels like that's been this reign from the current administration in the AFL, has been hesitancy to do anything. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that Laura Kane and Andrew Dillon, what have they put their name to?
Yep.
I don't know.
They've
and now it feels like the thing that they put their name to is hesitancy.
Correct.
You don't know. Yeah. You don't know what they're going to do.
It's a huge problem because if you as a league are not confident in A, the decisions you are making, B, the consistency that you're making the decisions with, in terms of within 6 weeks you have gone from one instance nothing to another instance 3 weeks. That's just as big as a problem as not making a decision at all.
Yeah.
And so we're going from a really bad decision to a decision that they didn't even bother reviewing in the Lawson Humphreys hit on Callum Archie. This is something that the AFL and the MRO did not even take a look at from what I know, but it's something I want to talk about because when watching the game, I thought this was extremely dangerous. So if we can switch to the slide.
We've got the clip this time.
I believe we have the clip somehow.
If not, we'll hear producer. No, we've got the clip.
Yep, we've got the clip. So as you see there, Callum Archie goes for the ball, and he's getting man-marked by, it looks to be Guthrie.
Yeah, that's Guthrie.
Yeah, Lawson Humphreys come through. On the next slide, where we see a replay of it, in the other one, there's 2. So really dangerous act. This one. Problem is, on this, Lawson Humphreys is not looking at the ball. So that is not a football act. If you're looking at the ball and you make contact with the player, I understand it. It was paid a free kick, which was 100% correct. But I don't understand how if a player's not looking at the ball, makes dangerous contact with a player, and he almost concusses him by making him fall on the ground and hit his head, how that is not looked at. It is not a football act.
You want to know why I think?
Please.
Because he didn't come out hurt. Neither of them came out hurt.
Yeah, so again, result over the action. That is an extremely dangerous action. We have had so many instances
If he was
of
legitimately
tunneling.
concussed, hurt, something like that,
Yeah.
100% would have been looked at.
Because we've had, how many times over the last 2 years have you seen something where someone's tunneled someone and they've looked at it because the player got injured?
Yep.
So I think that's a really good point. I am absolutely furious that they have not looked at this. This is one that you just stamp out of the game. If you go back to the first slide, if we can, it just looks like a really dangerous act. You just see a player get folded in half, basically.
Yeah.
And then on the
without
second
him even
slide,
being looked, I have just noticed as well. Lawson does a cheeky attempt at a trip. Look,
yeah, we talked about Mark Keane doing a trip. How's that not been looked at as well in the exact same instance?
Is very strange.
Like that is extremely dangerous as well. Trying to trip someone.
Yeah.
So. Once again, Jay Epstein is correct. Geelong gets shielded by the umpires.
It always comes back to him.
It always comes back to him. But this one infuriates me because how, as a viewer, am I able to catch this? Show that with the replays they provided, it looks like he's not watching the football and hit someone in a very dangerous situation. And the AFL and MRO do not look at it. That's where I'm confused at.
Yeah.
Like, look at the quality on this that I'm looking at. That's what. Like, look at this.
This is iPhone quality.
Look at Humphrey's eyes. He's not watching the ball, and he goes straight to the man.
Yeah.
That is so dangerous. That is so dangerous. So, AFL do better.
Anything else that you'd like to bring up?
There's one more. Ben Hobbs. This is one you brought up and you want to talk about.
Yes, this is
Ben Hobbs.
I think this Ben Hobbs one is one that is in good taste, but really dumb, right? I think the idea of punishing those for staging is a good thing, especially if it's obvious, right? Because players aren't, as much as they'd love to think they can get away with it, they're not actors.
They can't.
They can't act that out.
Last year.
I was going to say Stephen May is the one that comes to mind.
Yep.
That one, that should have been punished, right? And thankfully, I don't know how often it happens. I think there'll still always be I think now I think about it, Mark Keane fell to the floor once he got a little push from, I think it was Jacob Constantine, something like that. I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, that was a big one. But
Riley O'Brien after Tristan Cherry.
I don't know if that was a flop. I think that was just him not being able to control his limbs. But at the same time, the idea is good, but just the worst place to put it in, because you can clearly see Ben Hobbs. If you've seen the clip, Ben Hobbs clearly gets clipped by Connor Rozier's knee outside the play.
And he's also in a sling tackle.
Yeah, and he's in a tackle. It's not like he can stop himself. So the fact that he's been told to pay up for staging is insane work.
It's crazy.
Insane work.
Yeah.
But that's a bit more of an obvious one that I think we'll kind of leave in the air, because I don't think there needs to be much said about that.
No.
Leave that in the dust. We'll come to it once we know of a proper staging.
Yeah.